Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and today I'm going to be looking at a band I've not heard of before. I've heard the word before, but I've never actually heard of the band before. It's a band called Sojourner. I think that's how it's pronounced. Now, I only know this word's sojourn from a Meadows End album called Sojourn. So I don't actually know what the word means. I'm just familiar with the word. But the band, anyway, is called Sojourner, and they are a multinational atmospheric metal band coming from New Zealand, Sweden, Italy, Scotland, and the United Kingdom. And they were formed in 2015. And that's really all the information I could actually find about the band. It's very difficult to find any useful information, and even then some of that comes from Encyclopedia Metalum, and as I've mentioned in the past, a lot of their information can be somewhat unreliable. So, you know, whether or not that what I've just said there is actually accurate, I'm not sure. From what I can see, they've released 3 full-length albums, including one last year, and 2 singles. And the track we're going to look at today is a track called The Deluge, which I believe is a very recent track of theirs, or fairly recent track of theirs, off their last album. And yeah, I have some lyrics here, which I'm hoping are going to be accurate, even though I've actually spotted some spelling mistakes in there already, and I've not even read it. But yeah, so can't really tell you much else about the band. Not even sure what kind of music it is. It just says atmospheric metal, so I'm not sure. So we'll jump into this track, see what it is, and yeah. So The Deluge by Sojourner. Let's have a look. Wow, what an amazing piece of music. That was just beautiful. You know, musically, that was just phenomenal. You know, it started off really slow and sort of melancholy, and you know, it sort of built up into that really fast, heavy, almost black metal-esque style, but it still had, you know, beautiful rhythms and, you know, sounds in the background of it. It was just amazing, and the mixture of vocal styles coming on in there, it was. I don't know what I expected to coming into this track, but this song that just blew me away. You know, it just said atmospheric metal. It didn't mention any specific kind, and I can see why, because there is no specific kind you can pin down onto that, because it's got elements of black metal, it's got elements of doom metal, and, you know, several other things just sort of thrown in. You know, there's a bit of technical in there maybe, and, you know, it's just really good and very, very interesting. You know, just fantastic. And the fact that all of the members of this band come from all over the world, you know, New Zealand, Sweden, Italy, Scotland, and the United Kingdom. I mean, how the hell does this band practice? Do they all live in New Zealand? Do they all live in Scotland? You know, are they all from different areas, but they all live in one area now? I don't know. From what I understand, the entirety of that video was shot in Scotland. As you can tell, you know, beautiful, beautiful landscapes that you find across Scotland, across the grey, foggy skies as well, which is also something you find very frequently up this end of the country. Like I say, that's really not far from where I live, so, you know, I get to see views like that quite often. But still, that song was just, that absolutely blew me away. I cannot believe I've not listened to them sooner. Can't believe I've not heard of them before, you know. Now, when it comes to this actual song, there is something written underneath the actual track here, and it says, the Deluge represents the personal journeys that the members of Sojourner have endured for the past year. A deluge/flood is a devastating event that leaves a trail of destruction in its wake, and this is encapsulated by the melancholic lyrics, hard rhythm, and blistering leads of this track. We felt the Deluge sets a darker tone and pace for the new album, and therefore was our first choice for the leading single of the new album, Premonitions. That was the one released in 2020. Due to the fact that we are an international band spanning the globe, we decided to emphasise this in our first video by not pursuing one particular style, but telling the story of all of the members coming together from their separate paths. So there you go. That's basically what the song itself is about, so there's no real need for me to analyse what the lyrics say, but I will still go through the lyrics as is my norm. I mean, given the black metal style of the vocals that dominated the track, as it were, it kind of makes it hard to understand what's being said. Although I will say I was very, very surprised by those clean lyrics that came in. I mean, they were just beautiful. You know, absolutely fantastic. Anyway, it goes. It pours over me, this unwritten tome of despair. From the depths of nothingness, I see you in the distance. I feel your presence in every fibre of my being. These dreams came to nothing. They scatter on the wind. With the shadows of our ghosts, these fears are all you left me. To drown what I have lost, so let these waters rise. Droplets of rain circle around me, my footsteps resounding in my head. The lightning cracks and illuminates all, it beckons me to follow. To reach the source of that which cannot be uttered, yet impossible to remain silent on. Inundated I stand, broken I struggle, dead I wither, my body crumbles into dust. These dreams came to nothing, scatter on the wind. With the shadows of our ghosts, these fears are all you left me. To drown what I have lost, so let these waters rise. Battle the current and swim against the stream, one last struggle to convince the tide that we're worthy. One final look at your face will suffice. End this senseless tirade of doubt and fear. Permit closure, and if everything is to be, then let it rain down on us. For it will take over one way or another. It is up to us how we bide each other farewell. Let it drench this annihilated land. Let it reclaim its rightful place. Let it consume all that we are. The ink begins to dry out. The chronicle concludes. Nothing more left to say. I vanish from existence. So there you go. I love the way that's written. You know, just reading it, it sounds amazing. You know, just reading it, it's amazing. I love the way it's written. The performance was phenomenal. I mean, there were some parts where the sort of black metal style vocals did sort of seem to get lost in the mix. You know, the music sort of overpowered the vocals a bit, so it was very hard to make them out at certain times. Whether or not that's just the levels of my headphones, I don't know. But there were times when it was hard to hear that that there were vocals actually there. You know, so they did sort of get lost a little bit. But other than that, you know, that track was phenomenal. I need to get some of this music. I need to find their albums. I know they've got a Bandcamp page. I'm going to be going there and, you know, trying to grab their albums if I can. Excuse me, because this was unbelievable. It was a beautiful piece of music. The video itself was beautiful as well. That was very unexpected, but very, very much enjoyed. I really liked that. That was absolutely phenomenal. I'm not sure what else I can say about that, you know, because that was just a brilliant piece of music. I'm so glad that I've listened to that, and I'm so glad it was suggested to me. I just wish I'd actually gotten around to it sooner, but, you know, my list of suggestions is so vast that I'm quite a way behind, especially after having lost my list for quite some time. But, yeah, what an amazing piece of music. Absolutely loved it. But anyway, I'm going to leave that as it is. I'm going to stop gushing over it for the time being. So if anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so. By all means, you can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you can even message me through Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, which would of course be a massive help to me, since all content I create for this channel gets immediately demonetized, which I find a little bit frustrating. You know, I'm all for letting the bands, you know, get the recognition they deserve for their work, but, you know, they're taking everything off every video that I make, so I get absolutely nothing from it. So, you know, a bit frustrating, but anyway, that's just the way it is. There is an option in Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue, should you so desire it. There is a limit on how frequently you can do that. It's limited to once a month, and that's just to give a fair chance to other people who suggest through more regular means, such as Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram comments and messages. And if you do suggest through those more usual methods, do know it could take me a while to get around to your suggestions, since I do get suggested so many new tracks every single day that my list grows faster than I can record the videos. But I do write down every suggestion I get, so it should get done eventually. It just might take me a while to get around to it, unfortunately. Also, MetalHead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose main goal is to put an end to hate crimes. And one of the main facets of that is hate crimes against people of the alternative culture. And that's something I believe in very, very strongly, and something that I feel really needs a lot more attention bringing to it, because it's something that's often ignored and sort of brushed under the carpet and treated as no big deal. And that's something that really, really needs to change, because every day, all around the world, people from the alternative culture are getting attacked and abused just because of their taste in music and the clothing that they wear. And, you know, we're not just talking about, like, names being shouted at them or, you know, getting shoulder rammed as they walk down the street. We're talking about real violent crimes where people are getting brutally and violently attacked. People are getting hospitalized with, like, broken limbs and sometimes even more life-threatening injuries just purely because of their taste in music. And, you know, this sort of thing, it's been going on for years. but nothing's ever said or done about it. You know, the last time there was any widespread talk about this was 14 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently and brutally attacked by a group of 5 or 6 people who beat them, kicked them, punched them, knocked them to the ground and stamped on their heads so violently that they both ended up in comas. Now, Rob Maltby, he did thankfully survive this attack. He was in a coma for around about a week, maybe a little bit longer, but he did thankfully survive. Sophie Lancaster, on the other hand, she was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries and she died. This young woman was 20 years old and she was beaten to death just because of her taste in music and the clothes that she wore. Now, at the time when this happened, this was all over the news, as well it should be. And as all things do, it eventually sort of faded away as, you know, people moved on. But in the 14 years since that's happened, we've not heard anything similar. But I know for a fact that in that time there have been several hundred, if not several thousand more cases very similar to that of Sophie Lancaster that have not been spoken about because no one's died. And that is unacceptable. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to lose their life before this subject gets spoken about. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to lose their life before something gets done to stop it from ever happening again. Just a couple of years ago in Glasgow, Scotland, a young woman was running a charity event. And at one point during the evening, she had to go back to her home for whatever reason. Her home was a 5-minute walk away from the venue. Between leaving the venue and her home, she was attacked twice by the same group of people. And likewise, she was beaten, kicked, punched, knocked to the ground and beaten more. Thankfully, a passing taxi driver had put an end to this violent attack, but even then he didn't stop to see if she was okay. She didn't get any help until she got back to the venue to where her friends were. But where was this in the news? I didn't find out about this until a friend told me about this. And I literally live right on the border of Scotland. I could walk to Scotland from where I live. And I didn't hear a single thing about this in the news. Didn't see it in any newspapers. Why didn't we hear about this? This young woman was brutally and violently attacked because she was a goth. But there wasn't anything in the news about it. Why not? You know, we hear about all these other hate crimes like sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred, ableism, etc. We hear these every single day on every media platform. You know, from the most heinous and violent of these crimes where someone is brutally murdered because of the colour of their skin or because of their religious beliefs or because of their sexual identity, down to the most petty and pathetic of these crimes where some entitled white woman is calling the police because a family of colour are having a picnic in a public space. We hear these things every single day. So why isn't somebody getting brutally beaten to within an inch of their lives just because of their taste in music worthy of this? Something needs to be done. Something needs to change. Just because we listen to alternative music, just because we dress differently, it doesn't mean we're not worthy of being talked about. Doesn't mean it's, you know, that we shouldn't have these things reported, because by ignoring these crimes, we're letting people think that they can get away with it. By just sort of brushing it aside and ignoring it, you're doing more harm. And that really needs to change. We can't allow what happened to Sophie Lancaster to ever happen again. It should never have happened in the first place. But if we keep ignoring it, it's only a matter of time before someone else gets killed just because of their taste in music and clothing. And, you know, what happened with Sophie Lancaster, it's not the first time it's happened. You know, this sort of thing has been going on for decades. It needs to stop. And this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want more people to talk about this. They want more people to be aware of the fact that this is a really big problem. You know, we've got to put a stop to it. We cannot allow this sort of thing to carry on. So if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there is a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their overall goal is, because they can explain it a hell of a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, obviously don't feel obligated to do so, but if you can help them out in any small way, whether it be a small donation through their website or something as simple as one of these wristbands, maybe even, one of these. They've got a whole bunch of other really cool stuff on the website, but the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we bring more attention to this, the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we raise more awareness of this, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred, and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.